Hey y'all, my name's Priscilla and welcome back to my channel. I feel super rusty trying to film this book review right now because it's been a very long time since I've done one of these things, but I couldn't see myself filming my wrap-up without properly talking about my favorite read from the Latinx-a-thon, and that book was The Air You Breathe by Francis de Pontes Peebles. As you can tell from the thumbnail, probably I gave this 5 stars. I absolutely loved it, and I just want to gush about it and bring more attention to it because it's an amazing book and I think everyone would love it if they gave it a try. So the author, Francis de Pontes Peebles, is a Brazilian author, and this is Own Voices Latinx queer historical fiction. And it's amazing, and it has wonderful characters and a wonderful story. This tale has so much to offer. It takes place over decades, over continents, from Brazil to the United States, and it displays the many variations of a very complex, intense female relationship. So there's deceit, there's passion, there's jealousy just oozing from every page and every scene in this story. From boozy clubs in Rio de Janeiro to the Hollywood stage in the 1940s. So Brazilian samba is really the center of this story, along with the female relationship, and the main cast of characters is filled with sambistas. So we have the main cast, the main character pairing, which is Doris, which is one of these women here, and her best friend and soulmate, Graça. And although they are the main central focus of this story, I felt that the band and their musician friends all had very important roles, and they all add a little complexity to the story, but also they all have their own very unique personalities. And this is an aspect of the story that I really love, because I think one of the things that really bothers me when there's a cast of characters or a tight knit group of friends is that one of them is obviously going to take center stage in the story, but here I feel like everyone had a very important role and an important part. So another thing that I really like about this story is the queerness that is included throughout, not only with our main character Doris, who is a bisexual woman. She has relationships with men and women throughout her life. There's also other characters such as Madame Lucifer, who is described and introduced as the Queen Bee. He's kind of the central point of all the crime and gang activity and the power really in Lapa, which is a small town in Brazil where the girls first gain recognition and success as sambistas. We also have another character named Anise, who is a French hat maker, and she's also the vocal coach to the girls, and also she is an on and off lover to Doris throughout her life. So while these queer characters are not necessarily a focal point of the main story, which is Doris and Graça's story, they do play an important part. So whether they're brash or messy or beautiful, these all are represented very well within their queer identities. So as I mentioned before, the story is told mostly from Doris' perspective. It's told from her perspective as an aged old woman living in Miami, and it's no surprise and it's no shock or spoiler that she is the last remaining surviving member of their band. So she is looking back on her life and all the regrets really that she had throughout her life. And her story, my God, her story and her life and how everything unfolds and how she tells of everything that happened is so intoxicating. And we know from the very first page that the life of Graça, or as Sofia Salvador, the name that she dubs herself, her stage name, isn't always glamorous, and it has many ups and downs, many more downs it seems than ups. So Doris says, "I own the most famous photograph of Sofia Salvador, the Brazilian bombshell, the fruity crudy girl, the fast-talking, eye-popping nymph with her glittering costumes and pixie-cut hair, who depending on your age and nationality is either a joke, an icon of camp, a victim, a traitor, a great innovator, or even, as one researcher anointed her, an object of serious study of Hollywood Latinas." Graça's story in this is so cinematic and lush. Paired with this writing, I felt like I had seen a documentary, full-fledged series of her life, as if she were the real Carmen Miranda almost. Graça is a person that is incapable almost of the common love that you would experience between people. Her love is for the stage. Her love is for her career and her audience. and that is where her strength lies. And outside of that, she has many weaknesses, and it causes so much tension with the other people in her life because of her love and incapability to love others and reciprocate the loves that, and support and compassion that others give her. And I did mention earlier that I think that she and Doris are soulmates, and I didn't use that word sparingly. I really do think that they are soulmates, and I don't think that you have to have a romantic relationship to be a soulmate with someone else. They, from a very young age, from children, are drawn to each other. And although they fight and have this very tense relationship, they have this very turbulent, tumultuous, lifelong struggle of jealousy and deceit, they also deeply care about each other. So I also want to talk a little bit about the inspiration of Doris. Doris was inspired by Chavela Vargas, who is a Mexican ranchera singer. She came out as a lesbian in the 1980s. She allegedly had an affair with Frida Kahlo while Frida Kahlo was married to Diego Rivera, and it was pain and rejection from her family and from people in her life that really fueled her music and her creativity. And I definitely feel that we see that from Doris. Doris in this story is a composer and a lyricist, and she writes a lot of hits that Graça uses to perform and be a successful sambista and to really become an icon. This is a love letter almost to Brazilian samba, and it explores the historical significance of the samba and the beginnings, and it also takes us all the way to the successes and kind of how it fizzles out in the 40s and 50s when it starts losing its popularity. All of the chapters and sections in this novel begin with a unique samba that the author has written herself, and I really loved how each of these sambas really encapsulated the tone and the mood that we were, and the summary almost of the section of life we were just about to dive into. So this is a gorgeous saga about friendship and loss and about love and the passion of music that really ties all these things together. It's also the portrayal of brilliant, fierce women that just didn't accept anything other than success, and they knew that they were going to be stars from their lowly beginnings on sugar plantations to the United States' largest stage and in the news and in the media, and in a world that is dominated by men and machismo. So we see the girls really take on the world and make spaces for themselves in spaces that were not welcoming to them. So if you can't tell, I loved every bit of this novel. There really isn't a lot negative that I have to say about it. I will say that from time to time the writing can feel a little cheesy. Doris makes some very grand proclamations about life and the nature of the human experience and of music and how that speaks for the human experience. So if that is not your sort of thing, if you're just not kind of feeling the text or the story, it may not be for you. But I really wasn't bothered by it. I really loved her writing and her voice, so those were things that really didn't even faze me. So this book really feels like a heartache of regret, but in such a beautiful way, like a very almost cathartic kind of way. So I really highly recommend this if you can't tell. I really love historical fiction with dominating ladies, and if that's your sort of thing, if you like music in your book and with really dense lush writing, I really recommend this. You won't be disappointed. That's all that I have for this review, so thank you so much for watching, and I hope to catch you in the next video. Bye!